Rebirth Island just dropped, which means there's going to be a whole lot of sweaty, so I got y'all the new best settings so you can actually dominate and enjoy the game. Which, to add some credibility to my name, my main channel has over 100,000 subscribers. I hit iridescent last season. It's my job to play the game. The better I do, the more money I make, so rest assured these are going to be the best settings. That being said, I do play on controller. I use an Xbox Elite V2. Basically, I have these front buttons on the back of the controller, allowing me to have good aim while having good movement. If you don't have a fancy controller, you can play claw. You can use your pointer finger to actually hit the front buttons. So now you can have good aim, and then you can drop shot and jump shot without having to move your thumb to those buttons. It's very crucial that you have something like that. You play claw, or you have a nice controller, so then you can compete with the people who have insane movement like that. What you can also do is go to your edit button layout. This can get you on the same playing field without really changing the way you hold your controller or having to switch controllers. You can put on tactical. This is going to swap your melee and your crouch button, so then you can have good aim and you can drop shot. You can also go to bumper jumper or bumper jumper tactical. If you use bumper jumper tactical, you have the tactical built into the bumper jumper, which the bumper jumper will allow you to jump with the bumper, so then you can have good aim and you can jump shot. Very crucial that you do one of those. I heard stick and move is also pretty good. Bumper ping, you can have that on off. Flip the bumpers with the triggers. On the default controllers, you have to pull the trigger all the way down for it to register that you're going to be firing the gun, meaning that there's going to be a bit of a delay. If you swap it to the bumpers, that's a button, so you can fire the gun a little bit quicker if you swap it to the bumpers. For me on this controller, I only can pull these down by like a tiny bit, so I already have like basically a button right there. It's not really a trigger anymore, and I can like adjust how much of that I want on the back. And so I don't really need to do that. If I had a default controller, I would swap those two things. Stick layout preset, default controller vibration. I know a lot of you guys like vibrating things, but for the controller, do not have the vibration on. It makes sense. If you're firing your gun and your controller isn't shaking, you should have better aim and you can do the micro adjustments a little bit more accurately and consistently. It's going to be very weird at first, but trust me, once you get used to it, it's going to be easy. It just takes like a week or two. It kind of depends on how much you play. Dead zone inputs, super important. I bet most of you guys have the wrong inputs on here. So left stick max, I have mine on 1. This is basically the pressure I need to put on my left stick for my guy to start walking forward or just in general start moving. If I have it on 0, he's going to move by himself. If I had it on 1, he doesn't. Left stick max, super important. This is where probably most of you guys have it at 99. So if you think about it, so this is like the movement stick. If you have it on 100 or like 99, that means you need to bring it from 0 to 99 to get the full movement speed, so you can move faster. And then if you have it on 65 or 75, you only need to move the stick to 65 or 75 to get to max movement speed. Basically, you can move faster if you have it on 65 or 75. You can activate that rotational aim assist a little bit easier, and it's a little bit awkward at 65, so keep it at 75 and then slowly lower it down to 65. Right stick min, I have mine on 5. This is just, you know, the stick drift. This will remove the stick drift, but you don't want it too high. Like, to me, 6 is way too high to where the gun isn't as responsive. Like, yes, if you have a lot of stick drift, you increase it to 10, you're not going to have any more drift, but then your aim isn't going to be as responsive and it's harder to do those micro adjustments. So that's why I don't really recommend passing 5. Some people do like a little bit higher. And if you have it too low, it's actually going to be a little bit too sensitive to where you're controlling like the recoil too much, like you're compensating recoil too much to where you will miss your shots even on a brand new controller. So that's why I, no matter what, always have mine on 3 or 5. I've had this controller for a decent amount, so I moved it from 3 to 5. Right stick max 99, left trigger, right trigger. This is just, you know, that threshold. This kind of goes with the bumper thing. Just have that on 0. You can fire the gun a little bit quicker. Now for the aiming, this is going to be sensitivity, which the sensitivity is not for your aim, it's for your centering, which will lead to good aim. So when I go into the firing range, I will show you guys real quick. If I want to be able to win my gunfights, I need to have very good centering, which to have good centering, see that white down the center of the screen, you need to make sure that is where an enemy could be, and then right where an enemy could be. If there's an enemy there, all you have to do is ADS and fire. You don't really need to like ADS and drag over. You don't want to do that. You just want to ADS and fire, and then once you're firing, you would use your left stick to stay on target, and you would use your right stick to actually control the recoil. So that when you're strafing, you activate your rotational aim assist. All the keyboard and mouse players hate me right now. And then you use this one to aim. Use your left stick to aim and use the right stick to control the recoil and to have good centering, which if you have a too high of a sensitivity, you'll do fine. You'll get very used to it. I can compete in iridescent lobbies with 20/20 sensitivity, but I'm not going to be as consistent with my centering, making it so I can lose some gunfights. And so overall, the moral is don't think about the settings too much, or else it's going to get in your head, because you can get good with any of them. Just find the one that you're consistent with. Typically, all the pros are going to be between 6 and 8. I know on Warzone you can be a little bit higher, you can get up to like 10 and stuff, but usually you never see anyone past 10. Keep it around there so you have good centering, making it easier to win your gunfights. Also, when you hit that first shot, it's going to make it so then now you have aim assist helping you control the recoil, making it easier to hit the next shots. Always hit the first shot in the gunfight and you'll win every gunfight. Now, ADS sensitivity multiplier doesn't really matter too much. I can get used to any of them. I just found myself being most consistent at 0.95. Typically, you want to be between 0.8 and 1.0. Nothing really past that. You can also go into a private match if you do have the multiplayer game. You can go on the private match, play against bots for a long time, and just get, find the sensitivity that works out best for you. Now, this stuff doesn't really matter too much. You don't really ever need tactical stance, so I usually turn that off. And then aim response curve type. There was a little bit of a thing on Twitter, people saying that linear is the best one, but it's not really. Dynamic is more consistent, which we're always looking for consistency. Linear is sometimes easier at like long range to control the recoil, like you can map people with an SMG, but close range, a little bit awkward. Dynamic is just going to be a lot more sticky, a lot easier to use. Make sure you run dynamic. ADS sense multiplier focus 1.0. Yeah, this stuff on here doesn't really matter too much. Oh, aim assist types. So Black Ops default, they feel basically the same. Again, go play some games, try them both out, use the one that you like. A lot of pros run Black Ops, a lot of pros run default. Use whichever one you want. Third person ADS correction type, assist, motion sensor behavior off. This stuff doesn't matter. Now let's go over to the gameplay settings. So automatic tactical sprint is very helpful, but it will get you killed at times. So if you're inside a building and you're running and then enemy sees you and they're not running, they're probably going to win the gunfight, because there's a big delay from when you're tack running to actually firing. So if you have it on automatic sprint, you're only going to attack sprint when you want, and I'll show you how to make it even easier to use. And so overall, it's a lot easier to be consistent and just do better, especially with the SMGs up close, if you have it on automatic sprint. I know it's super weird, but once you're used to it, I think it's a lot better. And there's a reason why a lot of pro players wouldn't even run that, given, it is GA'd for a lot of them. But yeah, so sprint tactical sprint behavior toggle, auto move forward off, tactical sprint behavior. So I have mine on single tap sprint. This is going to make it so I can tack sprint with only clicking the left stick once. Before, if you have it on automatic, you don't have to click anything. If you have it on here, you only need to click it once, which is super easy to do. Like, that's not too difficult. So I recommend having single tap sprint. And then mantles, you want to have these on off. It's just going to make it so you don't accidentally mantle on things. Slide/dive behavior, very important. So in the before the season 2 update, they didn't have the hybrid option. They only had these, and everyone would run the slide only, because the game would wait for you to, hold or tap. Basically, it would make your slides very clunky and just nasty, because the game didn't know if you're trying to hold it or if you're tapping. If you had it on slide only, the game knows that you're never going to dolphin dive since you have it turned off, so it's going to instantly make you slide. Like, go into the firing range, use tap to slide, and then try slide only. You'll see a drastic difference. But in the season 2 update, they added the hybrid, which a lot of pro players use the slide only still. I like the hybrid. This is now going to allow you to actually still be able to dolphin dive, which dolphin diving doesn't really help you that much in this game. It kind of gets you killed, except for the situations where, say you're in like a hallway, there's an enemy shooting at you and there's some cover over here. You can dolphin dive into the cover and turn around, and then you're ready for the gunfight, rather than like sliding like that. That can be a little bit slow, so you can kind of like mess with the enemies by dolphin diving into cover, or like, little areas. You can get your legs out of the way a little bit faster. And so it is pretty helpful, but not as helpful as it was last year. And to do that with the hybrid, all you have to do is click the left stick and then click your slide button, and it's going to make you dolphin dive. If I don't click the left stick and I hit the slide button, I'm just going to slide. And now my slide cancels are still very smooth and very responsive. And then I have the option to dolphin dive. Very weird at first, but once you're used to it, after like a day of playing or 2 days, it's going to be so much better. Now, plunging underwater, free. Parachute automatic behavior off. You want to be able to like go as close as you can to the floor before you pull out your chute, in case there's people like guarding your loadout and stuff like that. Like, I always have a smoke on my loadout, so I can get super close to the loadout, pull up my chute, instantly hit the ground without dying. grab my loadout really quickly, and then I'll throw down a smoke and I can get out of there, since there's a lot of people who camp loadouts. And then parachute automatic, which if you're one of those people, fuck you, click off the video, I don't like you. Parachute automatic behavior off, sprinting door bash on, ledge climb behavior mantle only, ADS site behavior hold. This stuff doesn't really matter too much. So right here, prioritize interact. Even if you're a multiplayer, you always want to have prioritize interact. So reloading, this is going to make it so you have to hold the reload button, and then all you have to do if you want to pick up a gun, close the door, interact with anything, all you have to do is click the reload button. If you have it on like tap to reload, if you want to reload, you just click the reload button, then you have to like hold if you want to pick up a gun on the ground and stuff like that. Which if you need to reload, you're already in a safe spot, so I don't mind holding for like a millisecond. When you have the priorities interact, this allows you to do door plays a lot easier. You can grab your loadout a lot quicker. You can loot a lot quicker. You can do everything a lot quicker. Say you're about to die, but there's a gun next to you and there's a guy challenging you. You can pick the gun off the floor up very fast and without having to hold. And so it works out for multiplayer. Warzone really doesn't matter what you're doing. Prioritize interact or prioritize reload. Use the one that you like. For me and a lot of other pros, we like to prioritize interact. Armor plate behavior, apply all. ADS 6 swap off. Directional buttons on groups. This stuff doesn't really matter too much, so you can just push pause and copy all these, which if you haven't already, you should definitely hit the subscribe button if you want to get better. I bring out some of the best class setups. It's literally my job to do class setups and just get you better at the game. So if you want to get better, hit the sub button with the noties on. A like is also appreciated. So display mode, full screen exclusive is going to be the best one. It's going to reduce the amount of input lag that you get. So basically there's like a delay from when you click a button to actually showing up on the screen. If you have it on like full screen borderless, there's going to be a little bit of a delay. And so I still have this on because I'm like a streamer and I need to use my other applications a lot. Overall though, full screen exclusive is going to be better. This stuff doesn't really matter too much. You can just copy it if you want. And then yeah, now we're going to be going over to the quality. Render resolution. Last year, sometimes I think you would want 105 or maybe 95. Overall, you should just be able to stick with 100. You don't need to touch any of that. Now, if you actually want to be able to see the enemies, this is super important. You're upscaling sharpening. Make sure it's on fidelity and have it between like 50 and 100. For me, I like 100. Go into a game and adjust it to your liking. I really like the 100. You might really like the 50. Now for the path tracing, ray reconstruction off, VRAM scaled target 80. Oh well, since I'm streaming, I have it on 80. If you're just playing the game, you can have it on like 90. Variable rate shading, I have mine on, but some people it does make their PC crash. So if your PC's crashing a lot, turn that off, or vice versa. And then texture resolution. So I usually like to have everything on low just because I want the game just to run perfectly. I don't want any delays. Even though I have a 4090 in there, I still play with everything low, but visibility on this game isn't that good. So I noticed on normal, it's a little bit easier for me to see the enemies. And then for the rest of the settings, I just have it on low, just like this anisotropic low. Depth of field, 100% have that on off. I don't even know why that's on. That probably makes players just think they're worse than they actually are. The detail quality level, if we look at this, you guys can see there's actually less plants if we have it on low compared to high. So it's a little bit easier to see enemies hiding in bushes if you have it on low. Particle resolution, very low. Bullet impacts, I'm always testing recoil patterns, so I like to have it on. You will get more FPS if it's on off. Persistent effects off. Shader quality, if we look at the shadows, we actually like can see more if the shader quality is on high. And so it's a little bit easier to see if someone's in the dark if you have that on high. On-demand texture streaming off, local texture streaming quality low, shadow quality very low, screen space reflections. If you want it to be, I just got a cool message on here if you guys look. Finally hit iridescence. You made me a very proud father. I love you, Cbass, forever and always. I may not join the streams a lot, but I still love you. Yo, big shout out to Mr. Shots. So screen space reflection shadows, if you want your camos to look good, make sure that's on high. If you don't care about that, have it on off. Ambient occlusion off. Same with the camos. If you want them to look good, make sure it's on a high. Static reflection quality low. Environment tessellation off. Volumetric quality low. Deferred physics quality off. Weather grid volumes off. Weather quality off. That's going to wrap it up for the quality. Now let's go over to the views. So I know this is for the Warzone people, but I know a lot of multiplayer people are also watching this, and just in general, this is going to help you a lot. So with the FOV, if you're on Warzone, you can have it on 120 because the map is so big. You kind of need to see a little bit more, but on multiplayer, the maps are tiny, so you don't really need a higher FOV. Plus, your aim assist actually gets a little bit messed up if you have it on anything past like 110 or 110 and up. You actually get a little bit less aim assist, making it a little bit harder to hit the targets. Yes, you have less visual recoil, but you're just going to get a little bit of weird aim assist. Keyboard and mouse, it doesn't really matter since, you know, you actually have the skill to use the mouse and things. You can have a 120. Controllers, I like mine at 105, and a lot of other pros use anything between 100 and 110. 120 is kind of pushing it. ADS field of view affected, weapon field of view wide, just so you can see more of the screen without affecting your aim assist and stuff. And then this things doesn't matter. World motion blur off. Same with the weapon. I don't even know why that's on. That's like the depth of field. Like that makes players think they're worse than they actually are. Film grain, I don't even know why this is a thing. Like if I go look at Bob right there, I don't see any film grain on them, or like when I'm looking, I don't see any film grain IRL. So how is that realistic to have film grain? That is dumb in my opinion. And then this stuff, I have it on least inverted flashbang. This just makes it so if you get flash, your screen will turn black instead of white. Keep in mind though, you might think that your monitor turned off, but no, you just got flashed instead. So that's gonna wrap it up for all the graphic settings. Now let's go over to the audio. I have mine on headphones, default system device, and stereo. If you're on PC, activate sound EQ. It's super scummy, but everyone else runs it, so if you can't beat them, you gotta join them. That does not apply to hacks though. That's completely different. Master game volume, I just have mine on like this. I don't really care about hearing music. I just want to hear like footsteps and things like that. All this stuff doesn't really matter. You guys can just push pause and copy it if you want, but I'm just gonna skim right through all of these. And then now for the interface, super important. This stuff right here doesn't really matter too much, but you want the color customization. Color customization, put it on custom. Now you can actually adjust each color of everything. You can up the saturation or lower the saturation, then same with the brightness. For me, I really like to just make everything super bright, making it a little bit easier to see everything. And fun fact, if you put the enemies on like as their color, like the enemy's name tag at yellow, your eyes are going to pick them up faster because yellow is the first color that the human eye picks up, but yellow blends in a lot of time on a lot of the maps and things, so that's why I use red, which I believe is the next thing down. Overall though, it doesn't really matter. You can just change the color if you want, just make it super vibrant. Color filter, make sure you have it on filter 2, color filter target both, and then world color intensity and the interface color intensity, make sure those are on 100. That's going to make your game so much brighter. Now for the HUD bounds, you want to have these very close together, so then if you want to look at your minimap, which minimap is huge, more so in multiplayer, it's going to make it so you can see the minimap without having to like look as far to the left, and just make it so you don't have to look around as much. It's all right there in front of you. Minimap shape, this is just going to make it a square so you can see more of your minimap. Circle is not going to help you that much. Minimap rotation on. Horizontal compass, you don't need that, so I have mine on off just to reduce clutter on my screen. Crosshairs on. For me, I really like to have the center dot on. Actually, no, you need that on, so then you can have good centering, which that good centering helps you hit the first shot, and that first shot will help you kill the enemy a little bit quicker because they also get flinch and stuff like that. Overall, that white down the center, as you guys can see, super important. I have mine on larger. Largest is a little bit too big, and that's what she said. Default's a little bit too tiny, and so large is like right in the middle. That's what I like. Overall though, you need to pick the one that you like. And then hit marker visuals on, damage based hit markers on, player names abbreviated. You don't need to see the clan tag and everything, just see their name. You actually do want to see their name though. It's a little bit more visibility to let you know that that's an enemy, not a teammate. And game text chat on, vehicle HUD prompts, this stuff I don't think it really matters whatsoever. So that is gonna wrap it up for this video. If it is helpful, make sure you leave a like. If you want to see more of mine, hit the subscribe button, and deuces.